Joining me in the studio today to discuss this further, we have with us Professor Min Jeong-hun from the Korea National Diplomatic Academy. Thank you for making the time to come in today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, as we've just heard, the US State Department has confirmed that no money was paid to North Korea for the repatriation of the remains of the American soldiers that were killed in the Korean War. This is different to previous instances of where North Korea gave back remains to the US. The US had to pay millions of dollars for that. Why do you think North Korea changed its stance this time?
Well, as many people talk about that, I also think that the North Korea is trying to show its sincerity in terms of the U.S.-North Korean relations. As you know, the North Korea and the United States got the first historical summit on June 12th in Singapore, and one of the promises, agreements that the two sides made was to the returning of the remains of the American soldiers. And so the North Korea and the Chairman Kim is trying to deliver the promise he made. And during the process, as you mentioned, the Chairman Kim, the North Korea did not receive any money from the United States. That's totally different from what he did in the past. And it shows how sincere North Korea is in terms of the relations with the United States. In the past, North Korea tried to make use of that kind of the relations with the United States. And actually, in the 1990s, when Kim's father ruled North Korea, it developed the nuclear weapons. And during the process, when it was a lack of the money, it just came out of the negotiations with the United States. And just after the negotiation, the North Korea got the money from the United States and just walked away from negotiations. So the U.S. got the kind of lack of the confidence and the trust with the North Korea. So that is the most important reason why North Korea and the United States got some kind of delayed this process in terms of the North Korea's denuclearization process now. So the Chairman Kim knows that kind of the aspect very well. So by not receiving any money from the repatriation process this time, North Korea is showing the United States and the international community that North Korea is sincere in terms of the dealing with the United States at this time. So it's a very good sign of the progress and the sign of the negotiations and the process. So it's truly the good starting point, I think.
What's different from now and back then? Why are they sincere about following through with this process to repatriate without taking money? What's changed?
That's mainly because the Chairman Kim got the different plan in terms of the maintaining his regime compared to what his father did in the past. In the past, his father Kim Jong-un, he tried to take advantage of the nuclear weapon program, developing the program, to get some kind of money or the assistance from the international community. And after receiving the money and just the Kim Jong-il just going back to the nuclear weapons, developing the process, and just canceled all the agreements with the United States. But this time, the Kim Jong-un got the different initiative or the plan. Like you may know that the North Korea got the declaration of the completing its nuclear the last year, probably November last year. Actually, after that declaration, North Korea is trying to be focused on develop its own economy. And to develop its own economy, it is necessary to get so the sanctions, economic sanctions, lifted, and they also need to become a normal state. Is kind of as a member of the international community. So the two leaders of North Korea got totally different plans or initiatives. So this time, unlike his father, the Chairman Kim got kind of the big plan in terms of the making its economy prospered. So that makes the biggest difference, I think.
Trump has expressed his thanks to Kim Jong-un for returning the remains publicly and on Twitter as well. But so far, there's been no acknowledgement from Pyongyang. There's been no mention of it in state media, in state newspapers or propaganda websites. Why do you think that is?
Well, there could be several reasons for that, but I think that the North Korea is expressing its complaints that the United States is not providing any security guarantee measure, although North Korea has provided several the measures in relation to the denuclearizing itself, it argues. So like the North Korea first halting the nuclear and missile, the provocations, and dismantled the Punggye-ri, the nuclear test site, and just the returning of the remains of the American soldiers, and probably in the process of the shutting down the missile, the engine test site. So in terms of the North Korea's the point of view, it has done many things, but it has got anything back from the United States. So the North Korea is not satisfied with what the United States is doing, for that matter. So by making itself silent, the North Korea is expressing its complaints and pushing the United States to do something in accordance with what North Korea has done.
To do something, that's the next question. Now that the remains of the U.S. soldiers have been returned, what happens next? What does North Korea do next, and what does U.S. have to do next?
Well, probably the North Korea is waiting for the kind of the measures from the United States in accordance with what North Korea has done. But it's not that simple, because in the United States, there have been still the pessimistic views about the U.S. and North Korea relations. Although the North Korea is arguing that it has provided many the measures in relation to the denuclearization, but still in the United States, there are many experts and the other people in Washington that North Korea is not showing actual visual measures directly related to the denuclearizing itself. So although the North Korea fulfilled the returning of the remaining of the American soldiers, it's not directly related to the denuclearization. So still the many people in Washington think that the North Korea, it's time that the North Korea show the visual measures directly related to the denuclearization. So the U.S. is still waiting. So many people expect that the U.S. could provide the declaration to end the Korean War only after it got some actual visual measures directly related to the denuclearization, like the inspection or so kind of providing full the roadmap about how North Korea is denuclearizing itself, or the freezing of the facilities and the materials in relation to the nuclear weapons and missiles. But the North Korea is arguing that it's time U.S. shows something about how the U.S. is securing the North Korea's the security guarantee. So it's tricky. So which comes first? That's the tricky point the two countries have. So this is where the South Korean government tries to move in terms of facilitating the process.
Well, South Korea perhaps has the opportunity to facilitate this process, as you said, at this week at the ASEAN Regional Forum in Singapore. The foreign ministers of all these countries of the ASEAN region and South Korea and the US are all going to be there. And there are possibly going to be many events happening. There's talks of a South Korea and North Korea talks between Kang Kyung-hwa and North Korea's foreign minister, and possibly even trilateral talks with the US as well. Do you think it will happen?
Well, first, there would be the many bilateral meetings, as you mentioned, the inter-Korean the meetings by the top diplomats of the two Koreas. It could be possible, and it's also possible to have the top diplomatic meetings between the South Korea and the United States, and possibly and the North Korea and America, as the U.S. the ministers the meeting. But it's not clear whether the trilateral meeting among the South and North Korea and United States could be possible, because still that the denuclearization process is kind of a bilateral process. So the UN, it's still in the starting process. So U.S. and the North Korea try to have their initial results outcomes for the process. So it would not be easy. It would not be easy for South Korea to get directly involved in the process and make the bilateral process into kind of the trilateral or the multilateral process. And if that happens, so United States would not like that, because they are still the U.S. government and the Trump administration want to have some kind of the visual outcomes, or the results that that administration could use to persuade its domestic audience. But the U.S. government, U.S. administration, Trump administration still try to focus on the bilateral meetings with the North Korea. So it would not be easy. But if the trilateral meeting will come out, it means that three countries got some kind of a precondition kind of agreements about the denuclearization process and providing the security guarantee measures to North Korea. So it would be a good sign. But still, nobody knows, because the North Korea, United States got totally different the preferences and the ideas about how they would get what they want.
Well, it sounds like it could be a great opportunity to have all these people in the same room, but perhaps there's not enough time yet to get ready for it this time. Well, that's all we have time for, Professor. Thank you for coming in and sharing us your insights.
Thank you.